What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of HRK Vlogs. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're really trying hard to keep bringing you guys consistent content, and you guys have been rewarding us with views and subscribers. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers. We cannot wait for that. What we've been working on since we got back from Bonneville is one of the things, this guy right here. This is the 56 F100 cab. We've had this in here for a while, and it has not gotten worked on at all since we've had it. Basically explained to the customer, we're super swamped trying to get caught up on all of these projects that we have. But now that Ryan's been here, I've been having him do some more metal work, and this has kind of been what he's cutting his teeth on, starting to learn some of the metal shaping and TIG welding and metal finishing stuff. We took off this whole panel here, and you can buy these panels reproduction, but the customer really wanted to try and save as much original metal as possible. And it was really only this lower section here that was rusted away. The other one has a little bit more rusted away. So we're gonna talk to the customer and kind of see where he's at with that, because it's gonna be so much cheaper to just buy a replacement panel than it would be to have us make this. But for Ryan's first time doing some metal shaping, I kind of helped him along with it, and he did a really good job on this thing right here. So right now he's currently working on getting things a little bit more fit up into here, so that way we'll be ready to pop this back on. Got a couple little things that we're gonna need to fix back in here before we pop this panel on. So this is another thing too, like this floorboard, they're so cheap. It's probably gonna be better to just buy a new one, but we'll talk to the customer and we'll kind of see what he says. But so far, he's really happy that we're getting some work done on this thing, and I'm excited as well, because it's just kind of been sitting here. So while Ryan's been cranking away on this, Pat's been kind of going around on some of the mechanical stuff. So we had just a little bit more to do on the 66 F100. And you know what? Why don't we do the big reveal? I think because you got it all buffed out, Pat. Let's go look at this. And boom, look at this thing. So if you guys remember, before it was crazy oxidized.
Yeah.
And Pat and I spent so much time getting this thing all buffed out, and it really just popped. So you can see we still got some patina here and stuff. We're just gonna leave that. This was their grandpa's old truck, so they kind of want to leave the look and the feel that it had when he had it. Got a little bit of body damage back here, but this thing looks really good. And then we have, yeah, we can come over to this other side. Got my truck kind of in the way, but we have these nice white wheels, and
we didn't
painted all those up.
off yet, but...
Yeah, we haven't had the blue cleaned off the white letter tires yet, and the wheels are a little dirty, so we got to do one little final wash before we send it off to the customer. And what happened to this?
It's actually, it probably just hasn't been installed. Yeah,
polishing it up still.
Yeah,
we can take a look inside.
Yeah, I don't think
of
that one's been cleaned up yet.
Motor here. All right, come take a close up at this thing right here. So once again, we did not rebuild it at all. We just kind of cleaned it up and tuned it up. We've done a lot of stuff to get it to run nicely. All new hoses, new belts, completely rebuilt the distributor, the carburetor. But you guys know all that. We've talked about all that stuff before. But I am really happy with how this truck is turning out. And here very soon, we should be returning it back to the customer so they can drive and enjoy it all the time.
All we got to do is install the seat and get an ignition switch put in it.
Big shout out to Professional Tire. That's our tire shop that we use, and they're the ones who got us hooked up with the rubber and got it all mounted on there. And then we're also going to have some of the original style F100 hubcaps that'll snap on there, and this thing is going to be looking good. So much better than those 80s wheels that were on
they were pretty ugly.
Cool. A little bit of an update on the Impala. We have not done anything to this recently because we're kind of waiting on parts right now. So some of the parts are a big freight order, and so it's going to be, we're looking at like 800 bucks in shipping. So the customer elected that he'd like to just drive down to Classic Industries in California and go pick it up himself. But once we get those parts, then we're going to be hitting it really hard, because the big announcement for this one is, if everything goes according to plan, we'll be taking this to Grand National Roadster Show in bare metal. So not completely finished, but you guys will get to see this in progress build. So the interior will be gutted and everything, but all the metal work will be done. We'll have all the trim snapped on, the badges and everything. We'll have the real motor sitting in there. We'll probably have the frame powder coated black at that point, and just show you guys a nice build that's in progress that we're doing. And then right around that February-ish timeline, we're hoping that then we'll be able to send it over to paint, and that's our friend Mike over at Valley Coachworks, and then we'll be getting back a red car. Some updates on the 33. I've been working on this a lot, and we have the other floorboard in here, and I got this part to where it's all cut out for the brake pedal. So I believe in the last video you guys saw to where I had the Z in the brake pedal to be able to clear this firewall, but now we can see right here, we have this cutout right there, so that way the brake pedal is able to fit right through there. And that was some fun, cutting that out with cardboard to try and get the pattern to be exactly right. Because it's an angle, you see we gotta have this swoop here to be able to fit all the way down. And then I've also been working on this right here. This is the in progress transmission tunnel that I've been working on for this. So we can kind of loosely fit this up right there. I'm still working on tuning up some of the flanges and everything, and then obviously welding these two pieces together. But I went ahead and built a wire form buck for the whole thing, patterned it all out with paper, and then I've slowly been shaping it. And now we're kind of in the phase of just tuning it up a little bit, refining some things, and this will hopefully, well, it's not going to get welded all the way in. The customer wants to leave it loose so that way he can do his shifter stuff, but it'll be, for the most part, pretty well done. So now what we're going to do for this section of the video is we're going to cut to where Ryan was working on the lower part of the cab for the 56 F100, and we'll do some voiceover kind of narration in that as he was working on that. All right, so what you guys just watched was Ryan's first ever time doing a patch panel. I kind of helped him along with some certain things and would come in certain areas, but he did the whole thing by himself. And for a lot of it, I wasn't even there. He just kind of struggled and figured things out. So this is our final product right here. We replaced this whole entire lower section right here. So he had to do some shrinking on these flanges that came in because we never want to weld on a corner. So what we did with this is this was a piece, we bent a flange here and a flange here. So that way on each side of this here, we ended up doing a butt weld where those two things come together. Then he had to build this flange over on this side. Then he had to build this whole thing over here with the cutout to be able to access for the cab mount. And then drilled out all the spot welds in the very beginning, and he learned how much fun that was. And then this whole top piece here. So whenever we take stuff out with spot welds, it's really, really hard to not completely mangle the piece, especially when you have two flanges that are coming together. So you can see this kind of has this flat, pretty structural part, and then there's just one flange coming over. But an area like this, we have a flange and a flange. So to try and separate that just in general is extremely hard. And then especially with how much access we have back here, which is almost none, it's even harder because you can't get a drill back there. All that being said, normally what my solution is, keep it simple. It's a lot quicker. We'll just zip it right across at the top and we'll leave that tag up there. And then once you have this whole panel off, because you just cut this here, then what you're able to do is you're able to get in there with your drill or your cutoff wheel or whatever you need to do to remove that little strip of metal. And then you can just build this little patch right in here like Ryan did. And then you have this whole fresh piece of metal in there that's a lot stronger for having a new flange. So he did a really, really good job on this thing for his first time. There's a little bit of tuning up that in Ryan saw it. He knows we can tune this up a little bit with the fitment up into here, but it's not so bad that it can't be saved at all. It's literally just the finishing work. That's all. And then a little bit more, kind of got a little wow right in here that we could straighten that out a little bit. But this is nice and smooth, and this was already kind of wavy and denty, so there's just some hammer and dolly work in there that needed to be done anyways. But a little tiny bit of undercut, but that's just going to come with time TIG welding. I mean, this is, how long have you been TIG welding for now?
A week.
A week. So a week of TIG welding and metal finishing, that's pretty damn good. So what would you say was like the hardest part for you on this whole thing?
Probably the TIG weld.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few spots in there that took some extra work to get welded, at least enough that it was on there. But other than that, I mean, it just takes time, you know, hammer and dolly and kind of planishing it out. Just, it's a lot of work.
Do you feel like now that you've done this and like you got the idea of how we pattern stuff and kind of where pieces would want to come in together, as far as like we were talking about this, where the flange would want to come together, you feel like you have like a better idea when you go to do some other patch panels that you have like a general understanding? Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so we're going to keep Ryan going on the metalwork stuff. He's been picking it up really well. When he came to work here, he brought this giant Snap-on toolbox with all these Snap-on tools. And then he started doing this. I was like, yeah, get ready. You're never going to touch a ratchet for the rest of the time you're here. You're just going to be doing metalwork.
It's going to be a useless toolbox now.
Yep. So thank you for watching this video. We're going to try and do kind of this idea to where rotating throughout the weeks, then we're going to have a different person who kind of presents the main part of the video as far as what work we're doing. So next week, we'll probably go over to Pat. We have some mechanical work that he's going to be doing on a couple things. So then we'll be talking with him and he'll be showing us some of the stuff he does. So we will see you guys next week.